to my show on the YouTube highway. I got all you need. I'm gonna do it my way. Just listen up now. You can turn it up loud to hear my cool album review. Hold on for the good time. I don't need no sad. I got a song for the ages. You be a good or bad. You need the info, or you'll find it here. Just move over to the fast lane. Shift your gears. I'm thinking it to y'all from me to you. Cool album review. Cool album review.
Hey guys, it's Joey back here again with another video, and today's review is on ACDC and their latest album, Power Up, released in 2020. A long stretch between albums. They're notorious for that. They waited 6 years in between this one and their last one, which was 2014's Rock or Bust. I thought that was an interesting album as well. On this one, I'm a big fan of ACDC, okay? They've got a lot of great riffs. They're like riff lords of, the Aussie riff lords, um, the head honchos of the Aussie riff lord camp. They're so good, and you can hear it as soon as it starts. You know that it's ACDC, but I have a problem with this album, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. Production, production, production. Did I mention production? Okay, first of all, when you have a singer like Brian Johnson, a man that was put down on the chopping block for a little while because of hearing loss and different issues, you don't bury his voice. You don't bury his voice in effects or bullshit. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry to start this review off negatively, but why? Why did you bury Brian Johnson's vocal in, you know, I listened to this record with headphones and I could still barely hear Brian Johnson's voice. And that's a problem because you're supposed to be able to hear the vocal. I mean, it wasn't like that through all of it. I mean, there were great moments in it, like "Kick You When You're Down." That riff is so great, and one of my favorite songs on this one. And also, "Witch's Spell" was a good one. There are a lot of them, the Demon Fire was probably my favorite moment on this whole record. That riff was really cool. It kind of reminded me of what they did back in the Bon Scott era with like songs like "Whole Lot of Rosie." It was that kind of you could tell that they were kind of giving a nod to themselves in that tune because of the way it was arranged and structured. But there was a lot of there's a lot of great riff on this one. It's still the ACDC sound, but I have a problem with the fact that on some of the tracks, like the opening track, Realize, which is a great song. I mean, they're great songs, but you can't hear the vocals. You can't hear Brian Johnson. That's a problem. Um, you can't hear um, the voice of ACDC in some of these tracks. And to me, if you're going to pay, what, 10, $12 for a record, you're gonna want to hear the vocalist. If this is, a band like ACDC, for God's sake, um, you're gonna want to hear the singer. And in some of these tracks, I can't remember the guy who produced this, but the mix job on this was terrible to me. Of course, you could hear the band just fine, but when you bury the vocalist with, um, in the instruments, what's the point? I have to, and this breaks my heart to do because ACDC has been a great, great band for many, many years, and one of my favorite bands of all time, might I add. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. All time. I have to give this album a 5 out of 10 because, you can't hear Brian. What? What? You can't hear what he's saying. You can't understand him. I mean, not to say that you could understand him anyway, but you can't understand what? You buried Brian Johnson's vocal. I listened to this with headphones, and you can barely hear the vocal over the music and the effects. They put so much effects on his vocals. I wonder if it's because Brian is uh, up in age and can't sing as well. Maybe. Um, Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Feel free to comment on this if you so desire to give me a little opinion on this because it doesn't make any sense to me why they would doctor up a legendary voice like Brian Johnson. But as I said, I have to give this one a 5 out of 10. Um, I'm going to do a ranking of my top 5 favorite ACDC albums uh, in the future, and I'm going to do a top 10 albums that I hear because I'm getting really into listening to music again and getting back into doing these things. So, Power Up ACDC, great record for the most part. It's a great record to me. Would I listen to it? Yeah. Because it's ACDC and because I love them, yeah. Was it my favorite album? No. No, it wasn't. No. Just no, it wasn't. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. Like I said, you don't doctor up Brian Johnson's voice. I don't care if he sounds like shit. I don't care. You don't mess with a legend. You don't do it. And if he has the courage to get out there and do it, let him. Don't try to make him sound like anything he's not. Don't bury his voice in effects. That's not necessary, Mr. Producer Guy, Engineer Guy, whatever guy. No, just don't. Oh man, that makes me kind of mad as a fan. I'm mad after hearing this because they why why just why. That's all I'm gonna say. Just why, and I'm gonna wrap that up with that. I'm gonna leave it right there. 5 out of 10. ACDC. Power up. Yeah. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. Any requests you want me to review or react to, in the description box below. The subscribe button will appear up here. And we will see you on the next one. This is Joey Odom, and this is Cool Album Reviews. Always, folks, listen to great music. See you on the next one.